12 nations, 25 games in 6 days, and over 165 athletes and just one agenda, the newest, hottest craze in the sporting world. Welcome to the FIRS World Championships of Roller Hockey. We are in Villa Park, Illinois at the Odeum. Jim Blaney along with Greg Bliss to bring you all the action in this championship game. And Greg, it's a relatively new sport, but there's a lot of people who are very good, and they're all in this tournament.
There are some teams here like Mexico and Brazil who are just getting into this. They came here to learn. There are some other teams who are top shelf, and we'll bring them all to you within the next hour.
Right, during the course of this telecast, we'll talk to you about all these teams and especially concentrate on the championship game. Now, this is the first time this championship has ever been conducted because, quite frankly, roller hockey is kind of a new sport. And earlier this week, Greg got a chance to talk with some of the participants who are getting caught up in the moment.
The first event of its kind, at the opening ceremonies this year, there was a special sense of pride for all involved in the FIRS World Roller Hockey Championships.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm actually shivering. And we're looking forward to all of this, and we're going to enjoy it, do our best.
It's kind of exciting, something a little bit new.
The opening ceremony involved 12 teams that came from all over the world, and they paraded out onto the floor with their flags and their team uniforms, and we played their anthems. It's a traditional way that we open the FIRS World Championships.
I come and represent it here in my country, and I'm pretty proud of that.
When you're the first time at an opening ceremony, it's exciting.
It was a great feeling, the opening ceremonies, and everybody in Chicago just treating us really well.
Sí, es un entusiasmo. Yo sentí a todos los muchachos y a mí, de mi parte, un sueño realizado.
We were all very excited. The team was just very happy to be here, and for me it was like a dream coming true.
Once the games got started, it was evident that there was a wide range of skills amongst the nations in attendance. But not everyone came for the same reason.
I play my country, and I will try to win the World Championships.
We hadn't proved anything as a team yet. You know, we hadn't really come together and played any games, and this was the time to start. I thought that, you know, if we could go out every single game and play as hard as we could, then our talent and ability would be the winners of every game.
We don't have like same speed, and either-wise not the speed, not the same technical. That's the problem from Austrian team. But we try our best that we get next year's or something else better, and coming better.
We're going to do it. We're here to win. We're here to win. We're here to win. There's no point in coming.
Team Canada's going to win.
La meta de nuestro equipo fue participar, conocer o qué es este deporte.
Their main goal was to be able to participate and to get to know the sport, this sport.
Hay un gran
The young
entusiasmo
people in
de la
Brazil
juventud
are
en Brasil
very excited
con los
about
patines
inline
en
roller
línea,
skating.
inline y hockey.
As far as skating-wise and as far as the hockey knowledge and as far as the game and the thinking, I think the U.S. is very strong in that aspect.
One thing's for sure, with the growth and popularity of inline skating, this event will have a very bright future.
Next up, we'll find out which teams made it to the finals, and we'll get it all started. It's the FIRS World Championships of Roller Hockey from Villa Park, Illinois.
The World Championship of Roller Hockey is brought to you by the Sports Authority, name brand sporting goods at everyday low prices, guaranteed. And by Tour, hockey skates and protective equipment built to take all the abuse you can give it. By American Airlines, something special in the air, bringing the contenders to the championship. By Jofa, the form of performance, and by the Chicago Sun-Times, smart choice. By DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, 1-800-232-0502, and by Illinois, a million miles from Monday.
Any reproduction or other use of this game without the consent of Sports Channel Chicago and Chicago's Special Events Management is prohibited. By now you may have figured out that the reason why we're wearing these two jerseys is because the U.S. and Canada are the combatants in tonight's game. Now, you may have also figured out that the guy wearing the team jersey is going to take that team's particular side. So now it's time for me to tell you why the U.S. is going to win this game. And quite simply, the jersey's better. We all know that how you look has such a bearing on how you play, and this blue star jersey is the best jersey of the tournament, and it's being worn by what will be at the end of the night, the best team. Second of all, you can't win in hockey without great goaltending. The U.S. has plenty of that. James Webb has been the best goaltender in the tournament. He's been an absolute stonewall. Third, if you're going to win in hockey, you have to have a great captain. Not necessarily the guy that scores all the goals, but a guy who makes heads-up plays, doesn't make mistakes, and is a leader. The U.S. has that in Jeff Nelson. So therefore, Greg, no matter how good you look in that jersey, you are so wrong. The U.S. will win this game.
Not so fast, hockey boy. All you have to do is say Canada, hockey, and the Hanson brothers, and you're unbeatable.
Hanson brothers?
All right, I lose the Hanson brothers, but if you say one thing, talk about the captain of Team Canada, that being Perry Pappas. Pappas has scored at 5.4 per game. That's an impressive clip. And he also has somebody who has IHL experience with him, Owen Lassard, somebody from the Chicago Blackhawks organization. He's with him. He has 12 goals and 16 assists. So there's a 1-2 offensive punch that is going to knock down James Webb. And if there is anything that's going to tip the scale, I think the national anthem for Canada does it.
Okay, Greg has thrown out his best shot. He's wrong, but that's okay, because we are going to see how wrong he will be right now.
Let the games begin.
Goaltenders will be a key part of this game, Greg. Rich Galacci will start for Canada.
Well, Rich Galacci is one of the best in Canada in amateur hockey, and he has been stellar throughout this tournament. That's what's got him to this final game. That and some great puck handling by the Canadian team.
And we talked about James Webb of the U.S. in the Open. It's a pretty simple theory. Take a big guy and put him in front of a small net, and it makes it hard to score.
Well, that net is 1 foot smaller than NHL regulation, and almost, we call him Spider because it seems like he has 8 arms, but one of his best is his glove hand. He tries to shadow that, bait you to that side. Look at his glove hand. That's where he makes most of his saves.
Goodwin and House to take the opening draw. Greg, the U.S. against Canada, and really some controversy of the fact that the U.S. is even in this championship game.
Well, they were outskated by Finland, but the score came up 5-4. What you're going to see right here is a couple of different skating styles. Pappas with the puck right now, and what's going to happen is they are so good at possessing the puck. The game that got them here, 85% of the time, it was Canada who had that puck over Austria. U.S. has to even that out, and it has to start with face-offs.
Americans trying to get it out of their own end. House comes away with it. He had it knocked away at a nice defensive play by Duffy in his own end. Now the U.S. turning and going the other way. Goodwin has it, has to go in behind the net. Goodwin trying to cut around, has a man on him, finally lost possession of the puck, and the loose puck now, a battle in the corner, and Lassard wins it. He takes it in behind his own net.
One of the things you're going to find in this game is it's going to be very physical, and how the officials call it, who gets more penalties here in the first half will probably dictate who gets more goals.
Webb swings it around into his corner. Duffy picks it up for the U.S. Duffy plays it to center ice to Goodwin. Goodwin trying to get around a man, got a shot on, that went wide. First shot of the game goes to the U.S. It misses the mark. Melton in the corner. He was bumped off the puck for a second, stayed with it, and now Melton brings it out for the Canadians. Melton stops. Waits, tries to find a man. Couldn't get it. Rintoul goes and picks it up in the corner. Rintoul bumped off the puck. And now the U.S. trying to go the other way. Rintoul stole it again. And now finally, Duffy cleans it up for the U.S. He'll tee and fire. That shot was blocked in front by Duffy. Now the Canadians trying to swing it out behind the net. That goes in off the leg of Webb. Score. The Canadians strike first. And if you want to get technical about it, it was Webb who put it in the net.
Indeed it was. An unfortunate consequence right off the bat. Canada really didn't have much control of the puck as we look at it again. Bowen into the corner, around and back it goes. Out front, and boom, right off his skates.
Might have gone off the stick of Webb. But however you count it, it's 1-0 in favor of the Canadians. Less than 2 minutes later, we pick up the action. Canada is on the power play. Face-off comes to the left of Webb. Here's a shot by Lessard, and he scores 2-0 in favor of the Canadians. Lessard scores in the power play at the 4-minute mark.
Well, the fatal mistake right here by Jim Webb, as you see Lessard coming in, is Webb comes out, doesn't get the angle on him, has a free net, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 in favor of Canada.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more from the first half, and we'll have a look back at the earlier round. Have him in the box. Wilson gone, 2 for interference. Herstad gone, 2 minutes for roughing. So we'll play 3 aside for the next couple of minutes. 2-0, Canadians have the lead. Broken up by Nelson. Nelson with a break, couldn't peel it off the boards, gave House a chance to catch up. Now Desmond has it, takes it into the corner for the U.S. Desmond cuts in behind the net, tries to wrap around, couldn't get the shot on. Nelson picks it off the boards, tries to go in behind the net. Nelson centers in front, Desmond a shot, but the save made by Galacci. Now the Canadians able to counter. House brings it out for the Canadians. House tried to make a move, he had it knocked away. Mike Matthews sends it ahead for the U.S. Now the return pass, Desmond and Nelson. 2-man game, Desmond shoots, he scores! The U.S. cuts the lead in half. It's 2-1 in favor of the Canadians. The U.S. scores 3-on-3.
The gentleman who picks up the slack is always Brian Desmond. When Nelson isn't shooting, it's Desmond who is, and he just blows by Galacci right there with a power slap shot.
As we said, there has been some incredible hockey out here this week. My partner Greg Bliss has the story.
There has been some great hockey this week at the FIRS World Inline Hockey Championships, and it broke down like this. The 12 teams were divided into 3 groups of 4, each team playing the others in their group. The top 3 teams from groups A and B went on to the quarterfinals, and in Group C, the top 2 teams kept playing. Of the teams in Group C, Italy finished on top with a perfect 3-0 record, including a 6-3 upset over the Czech Republic. The Italians were eliminated by Austria in the quarterfinals. Mexico and South Africa failed to qualify for the quarters. Group A was comprised of teams from Argentina, Australia, Great Britain, and the United States. Group A belonged to the United States from the get-go. In their first 3 games, the Stars and Stripes buried the puck 79 times while only allowing just 1 goal. The confidence they had in their goalie, James Spider Webb, was one reason for their dominance on offense. After defeating the Czechs 10-1 in the quarterfinals, Team USA's best competition came from the Finnish team in the tournament semis. In that game, there were 5 lead changes. First the U.S., then Finland, then the U.S., then Finland. And then with 3:28 left, the U.S. down 4-3, Dan Slavin tied it up. 1:32 later, Brian Desmond buried the game winner, sending Team USA to the finals. The Argentinians, no, that's not the Quebec Nordiques, came out in the first game of the tournament and showed the Brits they meant business. The boys in blue won the first game of the tournament with a balanced attack. Team Argentina went on to clinch second place in Group A with a 1-1-1 record. In the quarterfinals, they met their match, however, losing to Team Canada 20-1. The other team to qualify from Group A were the men from Down Under. The Aussies also finished the first round with a 1-1-1 record, then fell to the Finns 14-0 in the quarterfinals. In Group B, teams Austria, Brazil, Canada, and Finland went at it. But in the end, it came down to the big game, Canada and Finland. Both teams were undefeated going in, and the loser would line up against the lethal U.S. team in the semis. In that game, tempers were flaring to the point you thought it was for the Stanley Cup Championship, or a heavyweight title. With 1:42 left, Team Canada tied it up, and so it stayed. Due to a technicality, Finland would play the U.S. in the semis. Teams Canada and Austria faced off at the other semifinal game. Which country do you think of when you think hockey? Eh? Yep. Canada prevailed 19-3, pitting them against Team USA in the finals. And that's where we are right now. 2-1 Canada in the first half. We'll be back with more from the Tour Hockey and Sports Authority FIRS World Inline Hockey Championships in a moment.
Welcome back to the championship game between Team Canada and Team USA. We pick up the action with the score. Canada 2, USA 1, both teams at full strength. Yoder plays it back into his own end. Matthews back to Yoder. Yoder brings it in. Yoder puts on a move, tries to go around his man. Wanted to center it, didn't have anybody there. Smallwood kept the centering pass from finding its mark. And now Matthews will wait and regroup for the U.S. Matthews sends it through the crease, but not on net. Weisselbaumer tees and fires from a tough angle, puts it away. They're tied up at 2-2.
U.S. taking some long shots, but when you get close in on Galachi, that's the one he doesn't want to see, and that's the one that Weisselbaumer buries.
Weisselbaumer from point-blank range tees and fires it, and somehow it found the gap and goes in. Weisselbaumer's goal comes at 8:50 of the first half. And now we are tied up at 2-2. The worm is turned. The U.S. with the momentum. Desmond cutting in. Nice pass to Nelson. He scores. The U.S. has a 3-2 lead.
Jim, this is set up right off the faceoff. If you win the faceoff, good things happen, and that's what's happening here. We're going to look at the tail end of this. It's Desmond over to Nelson. Nelson by the goalie. Yes, Galachi is under siege.
Galachi caught leaning one way, and he gives up the goal. That puts Canada behind for the first time in this contest. So we mentioned in the open that Jeff Nelson not necessarily going to score all the goals, but he'll get some big ones, and he gets the goal that gives the U.S. the lead at 8:56. 11:04 remaining in the first half. For the first time in the game, the U.S. is leading. Canada scored the opening 2 goals of the game. The U.S. has answered with 3 goals, 2 of them coming in the last 6 seconds to take the lead. Lassard in his own end. Plays it ahead. Lassard will get it back after Matthews knocked it away. Lassard works into the slot. Lassard lost it in his skates and then had it knocked away by Matthews. 3-on-1 for the U.S. Nelson coming up the right wing. Nelson tees it, fires. He scores! Jeff Nelson has scored 2 goals in the last 15 seconds. The U.S. leads 4-2.
I asked Jeff Nelson if he liked the slow pace of last night's game, and he said, no, I want to up-tempo it a little bit. Well, right now, Nelson is on fire. These guys are rushing up the ice. The pass comes over from Matthews. Nelson in all alone, and he beats Galachi between the legs. Let's take another look at it. Here's Nelson winding up with a big slapper. Yes.
The smallest player on the ice, well, on the floor, is having the biggest game. Jeff Nelson with 2 goals already. U.S. leading 4-2. And now Bowen. Well, Bowen will get, Bowen and Nelson kicked out of the faceoff. So Herstack and Nelson will take the draw. Nelson has it again. Gives it off. Here's another chance for the U.S. Galachi was down, but he made the save.
Slavin couldn't go top drawer.
Desmond in the corner trying to get it to Nelson. Desmond got it back. Desmond goes into the top shelf over the shoulder of Galachi. 5-2 in favor of the United States.
Well, Desmond learned from what Slavin just did. Slavin couldn't get it up there. Desmond does, and he garners the goal because of it.
What an onslaught by the U.S.
Nelson gets to Desmond. Desmond comes to the right-hand side, goes left top corner.
Greg, isn't it very difficult for a goaltender in inline hockey to move side to side, because it seems like the last 2 of the last 3 goals have been scored. They've gotten Galachi leaning the wrong way.
Indeed it is. What has to happen is the goalie actually step and opens the 5-hole instead of sliding over with his pads and can cover it very quickly. So there's more of an opening for you to get the shot in.
The U.S. on fire. They're leading at 5-2. The Canadians just trying to get some kind of goal to get back in. We'll have a penalty coming up. Webb comes out of the net, and now that the Canadians get control of the puck, a penalty to be called, and Bowen appears to be the one who's heading off as he was protesting in the corner, but we'll see exactly what the call is. 10-11 left in the first half. The U.S. about to go to the power play with a 5-2 lead.
Bowen actually in the corner, and you can see it right there. He's holding up. He's got that stick right under his left elbow. And it is there in the crutch.
It was an earlier penalty on the Canadians that set off this U.S. rally. Now, granted, they were coincidental minors. It was a 3-on-3 situation, but everything was going Canada's way until that 3-on-3. U.S. leading 5-2. They have the power play and another chance. Galachi made one save and then got a piece of a second shot. 9:40 remaining in the first half. 1:27 remaining on the U.S. power play. Nelson bides his time and brings it into the Canadian end. Nelson waiting, feeds Motz. Motz to the side of the net. Now Motz gets it back. Motz goes to Nelson, has some room to operate, but they're trying to work the box. Motz comes down to the slot. He fires. Save made. The rebound comes out, and the Canadians will clear it away. Nice dive in the Canadian end, but nothing doing. Weichelbaumer couldn't get the call. Long shot. That was deflected over the net. Webb didn't have to make the stop. 54 seconds remaining on the power play. Nelson into the Canadian end. Nelson gives it off for Motz. Mats plays it back in the power play. Weichelbaumer has it. Little weave going. Nelson has it now. Mats in the faceoff circle. Weichelbaumer went down in front of the net, lost the stick. Wanted the penalty call, didn't get it. Nelson now feeds it in front. Desmond lost the handle on it. Check that. That was Goodwin. Now Goodwin has it again. Goodwin moving along the red line. Goodwin puts it in front. Shot, score! Weichelbaumer scores to make it 6-2. Second goal of the game for Eric Weichelbaumer.
Jim, I think Team USA has taken a page right out of the book of Team Canada. Here he comes. Here comes Goodwin around dealing, and it's Weichelbaumer who puts it right through. Beautiful, beautiful goal. And once again, it looks like it's going right through that 5-hole.
Late in the first half, C.J. Yoder would add another goal for the U.S. to close out the first half, scoring 7-2 in favor of the U.S. Stay with us.
Jersey's definitely staying, especially being the first world team. It's really an honor just to be on it.
Growing up and playing ball and cane hockey, I had the opportunity to be in those situations and those roles quite a bit, and it's great to see it be in inline hockey. I think it's a great sport, and I've seen it grow so much, especially in our hometown and across the country, that it's really a great opportunity, and I'm having a blast. It's great.
Yeah, I would think that the North Americans have the edge right now on the sport, and it's only a matter of time before the Europeans and even the South American countries really pick it up, and because it's just growing so fast.
Inline skating grew up in the last year explodingly. So the main marks decided to make a hockey cup this year and decided to allow the winner or to qualify the winner to join the World Championships. So this is the way the team got to the championships here.
We practice like 3 hours every day. Every day practice. But the problem is that we don't have a special way to practice. We practice maybe in parking lots. Maybe we practice sometimes in a special rig to just have fun. And from this, we're making a tournament, and we started. We play them, and it has been a nice experience to be here.
The road hasn't been very long. It hasn't been too hard either, really. But for the players on this year's U.S. World Team, it sure has been an experience, one that began earlier this summer.
In July of this year, they came to Villa Park from all over the U.S. for many reasons. The top priority, however, was the fight for national supremacy.
Not only is it the biggest, it's the largest hockey tournament ever held in this country. It started with 1,400 participants. That by far is the largest tournament to date ever held in this country.
The 31st annual. This year, the show belonged to a local Chicago team whose key ingredient, being their goalie, was used to working in heavy traffic. James Spider-Webb came into the Nationals as an unknown with a lonely occupation. But after posting a .905 save percentage and a 6-1 record, soon the man from the streets of Chi-Town was #1 in the nets. The other reason they came was for the chance to represent the Stars and Stripes amidst 11 other flags at this year's World Inline Hockey Championships.
Well, we have a panel of 7 experts that are evaluating the play out on the floor. There'll also be a short one-against-one trials on Saturday just to see the players playing against each other. The process will be that we'll pick a team of 14 to represent the United States, and we're picking them from all the teams that have been on the floor here. Then we'll train them as a team for about 4 weeks, and then they'll be right into the World Championships, which are August 22nd through the 27th.
We're looking for team play, for how well they shoot, how good on the skates they are, their mobility up and down the floor, basically whether they are a team player or whether they have a tendency to be a loner, those type of things. Those are the things that we're really looking for.
Well, I grew up playing hockey in Des Moines, Iowa, and actually my experiences were very positive because in Des Moines, Iowa, my friends that I grew up with, Tony Muse and Dante Muse, the world inline speed skating champions. And so we grew up playing together, skating in the rinks, and I actually grew up playing ball and cane hockey, which a lot of these teams that are here at the tournament are very good teams at playing ball and cane. So I grew up playing ball and cane, and I played on the U.S. team for ball and cane hockey, and actually was at the Olympic Sports Festival in St. Louis in '94. And I was playing in St. Louis, and I actually met Ron Bielston, who was an assistant coach with the St. Louis Vipers, who liked the way, you can tell what differences when people played. He could tell I was more of an ice hockey player. So he invited me down to try out for St. Louis's team this year in 1995. And so I went down this year and I made the team, and I played about 7 games, and then I was traded, and just in time, and I went right before Nationals, and I went down to Nationals with my team from Iowa, and then was selected to try out for the world team. And I actually was the first alternate on the team, and we had one guy who wasn't able to come, so then I stepped up to fill up the spot.
Well, I started the roller hockey. I was originally an ice hockey player the last 8 years, junior A and what have you. It all started last year. A couple guys asked me to play, and I did a couple regional tournaments with my Philadelphia Scorcher team, and did really well in a couple of regional tournaments, high score, MVP of the tournament. The assistant coach, kind of had said something about this USA team. I really didn't think too much about it because there wasn't really, nothing down on paper yet. That was last year, pretty early. And just really doing well in the tournaments, a lot of people seeing, what I can do out there. That's what it pretty much came down to.
Once the players were chosen, They had just over a month to prepare for the world's best teams, teams they knew very little about, this being the first event of its kind ever.
(38-0). The U.S. went on to defeat Great Britain in the highest-scoring World Roller Hockey game ever.
Welcome back to the Odeum in Villa Park, Illinois for the championship game between the U.S. and Canada. Let's take a look at some of the first half highlights, Greg.
1:37 into it, Bowen around the boards. Rintoul Hertzak is going to have the shot. It goes off the stick of Webb. An unfortunate goal. Canada, the benefactor there. Second goal, Lassard in. Webb overcommits. Second goal, Canada. Canada up 2-0, but here comes the U.S. back from Nelson. Goes to Desmond. Desmond, top shelf, past Scalacci. Here goes Goodwin. Goodwin behind the net. He'll feed Weisselbaum. Weisselbaum beats Scalacci. And then finally, the last one, we're going to see C.J. Yoder. The feed from Goodwin and Duffy. He beats Scalacci as well.
So the score at the end of the first half, 7-2 in favor of the U.S. The interesting thing is both goaltenders made 20 saves during the course of the first period. The problem for the Canadians was the U.S. took 27 shots. The Canadians only mustered 22. Both teams were able to come up with a power play goal, but it's 7-2 at the end of the first half. And Greg, you were telling me during the break that you were very, very surprised at the way the U.S. had come out in this game.
Well, it almost seems as though the U.S. has got the Canadian jerseys on and vice versa. They're playing each other's style of game right now. This is as up-tempo as I've seen the U.S. throughout this entire tournament week, and it's as on the backs of their heels of their skates as I've seen Canada all week long.
It was 2-0 in favor of the Canadians. There were coincidental minors that made it a 3-on-3, and quite frankly, in that first couple of minutes of the game, the U.S. did not play very well. They didn't generate very many opportunities, but once they had the 3-on-3, got a little bit of room to operate, potted a goal to get some momentum going. Then the U.S. was able to come up with a 7-goal barrage, and they lead at 7-2 as we get ready for the second half. We will be back with the second half of action coming up after this timeout. With the score 7-2 going into the second half, Team USA blew the doors open, running the tally to 11-2. Team Canada would try to make a comeback, but it was too little, too late. Top the circle. He makes the move. Goes up high. What a goal by House. The U.S. will win the title. They defeat the Canadians by a final score of 13-6. So the first international roller hockey championship goes to the United States. James Webb exalts. He had a lot of goals to work with by his teammates, but Greggy certainly made some big stops when he had to.
Well, he's a winner. He won the Nationals. He won the Narch. He won the World. And he's won us over as well. He was the MVP of the Nationals, and certainly he had the confidence of his teammates. They said, if James Webb plays well, we will win this game, because admittedly the U.S. said the Canadians have more talent.
And remember, James Webb gave up 2 early goals. The U.S. was behind 2-0. One of the goals went in off his own stick. But after that, he was able to shut the door. And this really was a game of momentum. Once the U.S. got the momentum, they never let go, and they were able to pick up a 13-6 victory in this championship game.